afternoon, Democrats. It's 4:15, time for the Chairs Daily Live. Again, this is Scott Hamilton sitting in for Alicia Andrews. She will be back with you next week, and I appreciate having some time to spend with you during the week this week. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope that where you are not snowed in. I know that it is snowing in parts of Oklahoma right now. So if you are at work watching this, drive carefully going home this evening. Well, I mentioned yesterday on this broadcast that we are just overrun with Republicans putting up bills for consideration that are harmful. They are inconsequential at best and downright harmful at the worst. These are bills regarding education and so much more. So much of this is just performative legislation, as you've heard our chair say many, many times. The issue is they get headlines for these kinds of bills pandering to their constituents without any regard for what it means for the rest of us in Oklahoma. But I promised that we would start to take a look at some of the bills put forth by Democratic lawmakers in our state. And I think you'll see very quickly that there is just a huge difference between those that are creating a situation where life is better for all of us in Oklahoma and those that would hold us back into a previous century. I mentioned yesterday one bill by Representative Forrest Bennett, and it's really an exciting bill, I think. It's HB 3129, which would, in fact, make the father responsible for the care of the mother and the unborn child way before pregnancy. I mean, way before the birth is ever an occurrence. So that means that the woman and child are not going to be left to their own, but in fact, the man will have to have a substantial amount of support for the woman and her baby. And that's exactly the way it should be. And so I'm glad that we're seeing that. If they're going to try to produce laws that will further restrict a woman's right to choose, and they are, many bills of that ilk are being proposed for this session, then we need some pushback. And this is a great bill to do just that. I want to take a look at a few others. Representative Lowe here in Oklahoma City has really done a good job on this, I think. And it's requiring a higher level of standards for our judicial system, for our judges. There was recently a former judge who had a sexual relationship with a prosecutor. And there are questions now about how that may or may not have influenced his judgment in cases that went before him. So this bill would actually strengthen, I think, public response and public trust in our judicial system here in Oklahoma. And I think it's a really good move. There's another one. Now, this is a very interesting bill. Representative Dollins submitted this bill. It's House Bill 3015. And he is calling for Oklahoma welcome centers to have changing tables in the restrooms that are adult size, supporting someone up to 350 pounds. And I think that this is an amazing thing to have considered because, certainly there are many people coming into Oklahoma, leaving Oklahoma, or who live here in Oklahoma who are physically challenged and they need assistance. And this would provide, I think, the next level in dismantling the walls against ableism in our state. And so I applaud that one too. Representative Fugate introduced House Bill 3059. And this is also an interesting bill. And it would require that an incumbent who does not have a contested race, so that means there will be no opponent, that they're not automatically just awarded that seat. In fact, that they would have to have 51% of the vote. In other words, it's a referendum for incumbents as to whether or not the constituents want them to stay or want them to go. And I love this idea because just because you live in a community where there is rarely any opposition does not mean that you should just be a legislator from now on. So it gives the public a chance to decide whether they want that person to remain in office. And I think that's a great bill. And Senator Kurt introduced Senate Bill 1347, which is an income tax credit that would provide credit for individuals paying rent on residences. Now, I know with the housing market in many parts of Oklahoma right now, rents are oftentimes more expensive than mortgages are. And I think it's a very positive step for working Oklahomans to give them a tax break on the rent that they pay, the same way that I might get a tax break on my mortgage interest paid. So these are some of the bills. We'll be talking about many more of them over the next few weeks. But I just wanted to show you that these are the kinds of bills that make positive changes in Oklahoma. And it's not enough to throw stones at Republicans. We have to support our elected officials, those who are in office now and those who are running, because it's an uphill battle for these folks every day that they go to the Capitol because they are so outnumbered. But what gives me such hopefulness is that when they walk into the doors of the Capitol, they do so with determination. They do so with a sense of hopefulness that even in their small numbers, that they can speak truth to power and that they can make changes that we all benefit from. The few that I outlined in today's show just give you a little sample of some of the ways that our leaders in the State House are considering all of Oklahoma's needs. And that's a refreshing change from some of the very, very challenging bills that we've already seen this session. Well, friends, before I let you go, I just want to remind all of us that it's our responsibility to register people to vote. You know, it's got to be the foremost thing that we think of in our free time. Who do I know that's not registered? How can I get them registered? It's very easy. Just go to our website, click on vote, and it'll walk you right through registering someone to vote. So please consider everyone that you know, and let's make a difference by electing more Democrats and first registering more Democrats to vote in Oklahoma. Well, friends, I appreciate you spending some time with me today, and I know that Alicia misses her time with you, but I thank you for allowing me this time today. I hope that you have a great afternoon, and again, travel safely getting home, and I'll be back with you again tomorrow at 4:15. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.